Hey, what is going on, Frag fam? I hope you guys are all doing well today. Elliot here, and welcome back to The Fragrance Well. So for today's video, we're going to be talking about evening wear fragrances with a couple of emphases. First off, these are all great for the cooler months if you choose to wear them at that time. And also the majority of these are going to have boozy elements or gourmand elements. Not all of them, but most of them. Just kind of a theme, I guess, goes well with the subject matter. And when I'm talking about evening wear, I am talking about from a leisure standpoint, so no business related activities here. So we're talking about going out to eat at a nice restaurant or wherever, maybe going to a concert, going to a social gathering, to a bar, upscale bar, cigar lounge, anything of that nature. You know, I'm kind of thinking like if you work 5 days out of the week, Friday you're just trying to let loose, something of that nature. So I've got 8 fragrances here that all kind of fall into those categories I mentioned. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But before we do, as always, please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you do like the content, and please hit that bell icon and enable notifications so you can be notified when I upload new videos. Let's get into it. All right, to kick it off, we got one from Arabian Oud. This is Tarteel Gold. Arabian Oud, Tarteel Gold. So this one here is going to be a saffron rose oud fragrance primarily, but it also has some really nice cinnamon-like spice to it. It's also got quite a bit of vanilla, quite a bit of musk. Does have a little bit of a gourmand edge to it, a little bit of a soft but warm, delicious characteristic. Saffron in here, not too strong, not giving that screechy element. Rose, just kind of the soft, supple rose that kind of adds maybe a slight fruity feel to the fragrance. And the oud in here is not super funky or anything like that. It's not westernized oud, but it is just very, very smooth and just well balanced to make it a little bit more mass appealing. And then, like I said, there's musk to soften it up and vanillic notes to give it a slight gourmand edge to it. Really smooth, awesome smelling stuff. Great for the cooler months. And as far as what you might use this for in terms of an evening occasion, this one can kind of be used for all of it. Doesn't really fall too much into a category. This is just something that works great if you want to smell sexy, a little bit yummy, and rock that saffron rose and oud combination that we all love here, or at least most of us love here in Fragcom. So once again, from Arabian Oud, this one here is Tarteel Gold. Next one is going to be coming from Le Labo, and this one here is Tabac 28. Le Labo Tabac 28. So I've talked about this fragrance plenty on the channel at this point. What does it smell like? First of all, if you haven't heard yet, this is a little bit of a spiciness coming from some cardamom, but it is basically rum-soaked tobacco leaves. Tobacco leaves, very clean tobacco representation here. Definitely more of the leafy variety. Not a ton of smokiness, but just a little bit, all soaked in a very nice rum-like booziness. Stuff smells opulent, very elegant, very classy. What would I primarily use this for? Cigar lounge. That's kind of the first thing that comes to mind. Again, it's tobacco and rum. So if you're smoking a nice cigar, smoking on some good tobacco, and drinking a nice cocktail or spirit, rum, bourbon, whiskey, scotch, something of that nature, this is kind of the mind frame that this fragrance certainly puts me in. But all that being said, I do also think you could ultimately use this for any evening wear occasion, but I think that might be the best scenario. Second to that might be going to eat at a nice restaurant, something like a steakhouse or seafood, something of that nature. So once again, from Le Labo, this one here is Tabac 28. All right, guys, next one is coming from Xerjoff. This is going to be Eomi Deified. Xerjoff Eomi Deified. I do hope that's how you say his name. I actually have no idea. Tony Eomi. I know the Monkey Special was kind of the first release from the fragrances with the collaboration with him and Xerjoff. I was not a fan of Monkey Special. I thought it was just ridiculously sweet and just not my type of fragrance. That's all. But this one here, in my opinion, is a gross improvement over that. So what is this? First of all, you get leather right off the rip, and it is a really good leather in my opinion. You do get a little bit of kind of a medicinal spice element to it, but for me it's not really off-putting. Also a little bit of a fruitiness in there, and you clearly can pick up some rose and patchouli as well. All of this comes together to just make this scent intoxicating to me. A little bit of an amberiness too. You know, there's a softer element to the scent. It's not all kind of in your face aggressive leather, patchouli, and rose. But for me, this fragrance is absolutely intoxicating. I remember I got a sample of it. Actually, I smelled it in my local niche perfumery first. I was like, okay, I like that better than the original one. And then I got a sample and sprayed it on skin, and it was like, yeah, I gotta have this. Here it is. In terms of the subject category that we're talking about for this video, for me, speakeasy lounge, upscale bar, very social setting. This is where I would kind of rock this the most. I'd wear this to a concert also. And when I say speakeasy, upscale bar, I tend to say that because that's where I would go if I was, you know, going out to specifically get some drinks. I'm not the dive bar kind of guy, not the sports bar kind of guy. So I typically don't talk about that. So that's why I'm referencing that, just FYI. But that's where I would rock this scent. You could honestly rock this one in those other areas as well. But yeah, for me, concert or a speakeasy lounge, that's where I would choose to rock this one. Stuff smells great. I would wear this out to dinner too, because my wife actually does like how this smells. So for me, that would typically be the scenario, but I wouldn't put that at the top of the list. So once again, from Xerjoff, this is Iomi Deified. All right, next one's gonna be coming from Savoir Faire, and this is the Whiskey Rose. Savoir Faire, the Whiskey Rose. As I've stated before when I've talked about this scent, I think the name perfectly gives you a picture of what this scent is. It is booze-soaked rose petals. More of the whiskey kind of vibe, and the rose very, very opulent and rich. Not too fruity, but also not too stemmy. I think a good balance between those two elements, and you get some suede-like leathery notes in here, some oud-like characteristics as well. Last time I wore this scent, I actually wore it as a scent of the day. Most of the time I've worn this in the evening. That might be a little bit of a disservice to this scent because this does go through a transition as time passes. Well, in the evening, you probably don't really have time to let that happen. You wear this during the day, it's gonna dry down and give you a little bit of a smoky amberiness that comes out a lot later in the wearing of the scent. A lot of labdanum in here. If you're a fan of labdanum, it actually really comes out as some of the other fragrance elements start to dissipate, and I really like that about the scent as well. So a little bit of a smoky, ambery, resinous feel. Also going along with the opulence of this fragrance. Where would I wear this for evening wear? Definitely a nice restaurant, particularly a steakhouse, particularly if I'm going to order a drink while I'm eating at the restaurant. Certainly great for the social drinking situation, as such as a speakeasy or a mixology bar as well. And you know what, you could probably pull this off too at a cigar lounge if you wanted to. Wouldn't be my first choice for a concert, but I guess depending on the concert, I'd wear it to something like that. But social gatherings, this is great for, and all those other occasions I mentioned before. So once again, from Savoir Faire, this is the Whiskey Rose. All right, guys, next one's gonna be coming from Nasomatto. This is Baraonda. Nasomatto Baraonda. Don't know if I'm saying that right, but it is what it is. I'm sure many of you guys are familiar with this scent. This is one of the popular ones from Nasomatto. If you're into boozy fragrances, this is one to get. And that is accurate. This is also new in my collection, by the way. But I've worn it a few times to, you know, kind of wrap my nose around what this scent is. And let me tell you what it is. It's boozy. Anybody who has ever said that, they are absolutely correct. For me, when you first spray this fragrance on, it smells literally like bourbon. You know, it just reminds me of the elements I get from bourbon in general. So that's what it smells like to me. After it dries down a little bit later on, it starts to smell like a bourbon based old fashioned. That's kind of what I think. And then even later on, once the fragrance dries down some more, I feel like it smells like a smoked bourbon based old fashioned. The entire attitude of this fragrance is booze, 100% bourbon in my opinion. So where would I wear this? I would absolutely wear this to a mixology bar or a speakeasy. I would wear this for a night out. Actually, you know what? Any night out occasion, I would wear this scent. All of them, I think, can pass for this fragrance because, you know, we don't get the notes given for this scent, but it actually has a really nice ambery element to it as well. So it gets a little sweeter as it dries down, not quite as aggressive with the boozy characteristic. I do think that stays present for most of the wearing experience, but it gets a little bit ambery. So that gives it a little bit of versatility in my opinion. So any kind of evening occasion where you might want to wear a fragrance that has boozy elements, this one is a good one to wear because it just does really smell really, really nice in general, even though it gives me all of those artistic representations of a fragrance. So once again, from Nasomatto, This one here is Baraonda. All right, guys, next one's coming from Tom Ford. This one here is going to be Ombre Leather Parfum. Tom Ford, Ombre Leather Parfum. You know, the Ombre Leather DNA in general, particularly the EDP and this one, but you know what, even the newer one, is just great for evening wear in general, great for cooler weather in general. It's a leather fragrance that has usability to it. So this one also can kind of cover the span of all the evening activities we're kind of focusing on in this video. This one still has that really, I hate to say smooth, I don't know if that's really the right term, but that kind of acceptable leather DNA that is in Ombre Leather, but this one makes a little bit more use of a fresher take on it. We're using iris and violet to kind of actually smooth it out and brighten it up compared to the EDP, which was an interesting direction, but it still smells amazing. And yeah, that's pretty much what this fragrance here gives you. I thoroughly enjoy this scent. I will say this much though, for me, I guess this is my favorite concert fragrance because I've worn this fragrance more than any other fragrance to any concerts I've gone to, and I don't really know why. I just kind of grabbed this one, and for whatever reason, it just seems to work for me in those environments. But again, this fragrance here is just kind of evening wear approved in general. You can use it for any of the occasions we have talked about so far in the video. So once again, from Tom Ford, this is Ombre Leather Parfum. All right, moving on. Next one's going to be coming from The Harmonist, and this one here is Hypnotizing Fire. The Harmonist, Hypnotizing Fire. So for me, this fragrance here, well, first of all, what is this? I'm sure many of you guys know by now. This is a spicy, warm, somewhat airy, ethereal fragrance, making good use of cinnamon-like spices, and also I think there's pimento in here, so that is something that really kind of brings spice to the forefront, but in a somewhat fresher way, not quite savory, if you will. A little bit of rose in here to kind of bind the elements of this fragrance together. Really good use of a very smooth vanilla that's not too gourmandish, but also not too powdery. And good amount of benzo in here, giving a dusty, slightly woody feel to the scent. Stuff smells absolutely fantastic. Very powerful scent. Certainly approved for cooler weather and evening wear as well. Where would I use this scent? I would pretty much use it in just about every occasion: concert, night out, eating dinner somewhere, a bar, any kind of bar really. But where I would not use it is like a cigar lounge. I don't think this is really the vibe for a cigar lounge, in my opinion. I don't think this fragrance, even though it does remind me of watching a fire burn, there's not really a smoky element to this, and I don't think the makeup of this scent would mix well with a ton of cigar or tobacco smoke. That's just my opinion, and also I could be wrong. I haven't tested that, but for me, pretty much evening wear approved overall, except for that type of occasion, which if you don't smoke anyway, that's not something you really have to worry about. So once again, from The Harmonist, this one here is Hypnotizing Fire. All right, guys, and last but not least, this one's coming from Lorenzo Pizzalia, and it is Py Rhum. Lorenzo Pizzalia, Py Rhum. So we're closing it out with another boozy fragrance. This is rum, vanilla, and patchouli. That's the overwhelming characteristic of what I get from this scent. I do think there's a lot of other elements listed in terms of the note breakdown, but that's pretty much what I get from the scent. I don't really need to know the other stuff. Rum, patchouli, and vanilla. And man, it is very dark, it is very deep, and it is very delicious. For me, this one can work for pretty much any evening wear occasion. You just want a sexy, boozy vanilla fragrance with a little bit of that nice patchouli touch, adding depth to the scent. By the way, patchouli in here, not really chocolatey in my opinion. It's more of the slightly earthy, not super leafy variety. It just kind of adds a good grounding to the scent, making it more than just simply vanilla and that's it. That's what I like about the fragrance. But yeah, you could use this for pretty much any evening wear occasion, and it certainly smells great in the cooler weather as well. So it just kind of checks all the boxes, if you will, for the fragrances we have compiled for the list here today. So once again, from Lorenzo Pizzalia, this is Py Rhum. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this video. Let me know down in the comments below what some of your favorite evening based fragrances are and what you'd like to wear them for. I would love to see what you guys have to say. Thanks again for watching all the way until the end. I really do appreciate you guys. Please remember to be well and smell well, and I will see you in the next episode of The Fragrance Well. Have a good one.